Hey everybody, it is Tom Breeze here, and we have the Mr.
Ollie Wilson. Hello, everyone. I feel like saying hello, boys and girls. It's just
Yes.
like it's not quite the right time. No party going on.
This must be the worst podcast for intros, I think. Out of every podcast that's out there. I think we'll become famous for this, for really bad intros.
Yeah. The content's absolutely fabulous, but
Well, yeah, don't get me wrong, that bit's amazing.
Yeah.
But, anyway, so recently, Ollie, you wrote an article called, you might as well tell me what the title was.
Yeah. Bit of a tongue twister. It was.
Next time I'm asking you to say what the title is.
Yeah, sure. It was the sixth. See, I can't even say it. I can't even say it. This is the worst. The 6 growth activators for reoccurring revenue riches.
The 6
growth activators for reoccurring revenue riches.
Okay, so basically there's 6.
It's like it was obviously such a compelling headline. I mean, loads of people. I got loads of emails back. So.
Yeah. Well, basically there's 6 things about reoccurring income, which is kind of like what I want to learn about, basically. So I know I've read the article already, found it fascinating, and I know I joke about the title. It's just I couldn't remember it. But I know the stuff that you shared was amazing, and also I want to continue the conversation about this. Because I'm very interested in the agency to introduce some level of training, continuity, mastermind mentoring type package. I'm interested in it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it or not, but I'm keeping an eye on it, if that makes sense. We're doing really well in the agency, and I've got the blinkers on to a certain extent. That's what we want to do. But I'm also interested in potentially, is it right for me to do it? Will it be easy to do? What sort of things should I be thinking about if I am going to do it, and things like that. So do you want to, let's kick off with like a few of like an overview to begin with, and then let's dive in a little bit into each of these 6 areas, and I'll ask questions as we go, if that's all right.
Yeah, definitely. So dive in at any point. So just really for some context, and anybody that sort of listened to the first part of the interview, obviously it's been an absolute train wreck so far. So no, I can absolutely promise you that this is going to be fantastic for you. Now, for any of you that's listening to this and thinking to themselves, well, I don't run a subscription business, a continuity business. This is still very relevant to you, and that will become clear very soon. For me, one of the things that is a profit activator in really any business, regardless, is to try and put some form of reoccurring revenue in that business, be it some kind of subscription model. And it's surprising that, despite what kind of industry, what type of business you're in, there are opportunities for you to create a membership base of some description that will pay you monthly income. There's lots of models for it. I mean, Naked Wines have got a model where you essentially pay them. You don't get any wine. You build up a bank of money. They hold your money and then send you wine. There is, of course, the Graze boxes of this world. There's monthly newsletters that you can subscribe to. Really, I mean, this has been going on forever. But in our business and in some of our clients' businesses, we've been very effective in creating some kind of recurring revenue. One of the businesses that's one of our clients, before I talk about my own, is in the beauty kind of marketplace, and so they've created a membership which gives preferential rates and discounts, and then kind of samples that they send out to people each month before they actually then have the products before they want to buy products. So that's a good model. We've just started one in one of our other businesses called one of the car clubs, where they pay and they get preferential discount on services, and also a service that they get delivered every month. And everybody knows about kind of the information marketing model and so on and so forth. So there is there is a business within your business that you're not probably tapping into. There's an income stream there that you probably don't see that you could potentially tap into. So that's the first part.
Yeah, I've seen it happen with coffee. These are surprising ones to me that I thought, wow, this is really crazy. So we've got coffee where you just pay a certain amount of money per month, and you get your coffee, and they give you different samples of stuff, and you can taste some different types. I've seen one for boxer shorts, or briefs for gents. So they send you a new pair of boxer shorts every month. I think you're meant to have your own as well. Don't just
right.
Just go for that one pair per month. That'd be a bit dodgy. But then I've seen them for like Sweaty Betty, which is a brand in the UK. I think it's worldwide, in fact. But they kind of like you pay a certain amount per month, and they'll put together an outfit for you each month, and you can either say no to it or yes to it. And it'll get sent to you if you say yes to it, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure if the recurring income comes in like that, even if you say no. I don't know how that works. But loads and loads of like different businesses have all these different models here. You've got Dollar Shave Club and Dollar Beer Club as well as a result of that. So there's some really clever models out there. On the flip side of that, Ollie, where do you see people going wrong? Because I've seen so many people do or try membership sites and fail miserably. And is there apart from the actual functionality of the membership and how they're promoted and all that sort of stuff, is there sometimes like a business that just doesn't fit a membership model? Is there any way that you think, right, this sort of thing is dedicated to this sort of person and they're not interested in doing a membership site, their customers just wouldn't be right for that? Is there anything like that you think, yeah, these sorts of businesses wouldn't fit for membership?
Yeah, I think you've always got to look at really what is going to work for the customer. What is it that's either going to make it more convenient for them? What is going to give value to them? What is they going to be perceived of being part of something? So there's all of these things. It's in some cases it's convenience, like your Dollar Shave Club thing, and value that they're getting in terms of monetary value. There's a benefit to be part of that. But then there's also some people that want a belonging. They want to be part of something. They want to be part of a community. Maybe it's a part of a community of other business owners or entrepreneurs or whatever it may be. And so, that's very relevant as well. So I find that there is, a lot of untapped potential in a lot of any business, really. And I think if you look hard enough, you could create something out of really nothing, really, if that makes sense. And we've actually done that in one of our businesses, the industry model. And the thing is that everybody looks inside their industry and is like, oh, nobody else is doing this. Obviously, if it worked, then, other people would be doing it. Well, the sad fact is that, you should look outside of your industry to look at what other businesses are doing and look at how you could mimic, model, and emulate those successes. And that's what often prevails to be quite successful. And that's what happened in our business. One of our businesses, we had a business that we were selling a franchise, a business opportunity, and the actual service deliverable, the actual thing that we were delivering to the franchisees was software. And it meant that we can supply them each month with a certain allotted amount of software credits that they consume. That's how the model works. And before that, what we used to do was sell these credits at a discount. We would sell them in bundles, and they would buy so many, and if they bought more, they got a discount. Well, that kind of makes sense. And then one day I was just sort of looking actually at, I can't remember where it was that I originally got this idea from, of these credits, and that we could put them on a subscription. So that meant that they pay us less money, but for less credits, but we get the recurring each month. And there was still a discount and economies of scale built into it. And we just quickly transformed our business overnight from like having these sporadic spikes of revenue that were coming in and lulls and plateaus, to having this consistency, which really gave the stability that we wanted, and gave us some confidence in reinvesting back into the business and doing a whole load of great things that actually added a lot of value to the end customer as well. And some of the things I'm going to share with you here, and people that are on the podcast listening to this, are really some of the things that we've learned as a result of being part of that subscription business that you really need to understand in order to make it work for you, which I think really is the meat and potatoes of what this is all about, I suppose, really.
Nice, can't be a bit of meat and potatoes. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to be thinking about my business, knowing that I've got several different products, like online trainings. We've got a bit of software in there as well that people can use. And right now, I don't really do that much promotion behind them. I am looking to do a lot of promotion behind them. But it's also the sort of thing where it's like, if I've got several products, each in the range of anywhere between $100 and $1,000, should there become a point at which you say, well, do you know what? If you just become a member, you can have access to everything ongoing and have access to a community, for example, and things like that as well. So that's kind of what I'm going to be thinking about as you go through these 6 areas.
Yeah. Cool.
But if you can apply to that, all the better. But feel free to make it.
It's also worth mentioning. Yeah, in terms of your model, it's also worth mentioning that there's so many different ways probably to structure that kind of online content in terms of delivery. If it's drip fed, if it's all you can eat, if it's, annual, renewable, monthly, or whatever it may be. So there's a lot of things to think about that. But I think the key thing here to remember is that we focus a lot on marketing, focus a lot on acquisition. And one of the key things running a recurring revenue business, a subscription business of any kind, is that it doesn't really matter how many people you're actually adding to your customer base each month in terms of your growth rate. If your growth rate and your retention rate stay the same, okay, then your business is eventually going to plateau and it's never going to actually grow. And that can lead you into a very vulnerable situation, especially if your business has scaled up to accommodate a specific number of customers, and then suddenly it starts to plateau and you haven't got the kind of revenue to support that. And believe me, although you may think that having, at the beginning of the month, having to not start the month from zero and build up, that starting the month with $30,000, $50,000, $60,000 in the bank would be a great place to be, it can also go wrong. And that leads us neatly into sort of our first thing, really, which is looking at attrition versus growth rate. So what we mean by that, and the way to calculate it, is that we take the number of clients that we lost this month. Okay,
so cancelled their membership, right?
Yeah, they cancelled their membership, they cancelled their subscription. How many clients did we lose this month? And we divide that by the total number of clients that we had at the beginning of the month. Okay?
Gotcha, okay.
So
where would you want that percentage to be?
It really does vary. It really varies. It varies.
Well, obviously 0%, but like, where's a happy threshold sort of thing?
Yeah, sure. And that's an important metric to consider, because there will be for your business an acceptable churn rate that you'll become accustomed to in this nature of business, because people will cancel, okay, and they will cancel for a number of different reasons. But overarching is we want to look at the attrition rate. Mm-hmm. The second thing that we want to consider is how many people did we actually acquire? Okay, so we always look at the attrition before we look at the acquisition. So how many clients did we win this month? How many people started a new subscription? So again, very simple maths. How many people did we win? Okay, and then we can then take, the reason why we do it this way, and we take the attrition and we take the number of clients, is because the key calculation that we want to know is actually the customer or client lifetime value. Now, this is a very, very important metric, and we can't calculate that without knowing the attrition rate and the acquisition. And you'll notice this is all based on monthly. And so the calculation that you do for customer lifetime value is the number one, divided by the attrition rate that we worked out previously, times by the average monthly customer or client value. And what we mean by the average monthly customer value is what they, if you've got multiple, if you've got one subscription level, that's all you've got, $97 a month or £97 a month, that is the average monthly customer value, because that's all it is, right? But you may have varying different levels of membership, and so you want to take the average of those. And so, add them all up and divide them by, how many you've got, to get the average monthly customer value. And that then will give you the customer lifetime value. So 1 divided by the attrition rate times by the average monthly customer value.
Okay, so the way that I've seen it been worked out before, I think it's the same thing, but it might be slightly different, is when you look at the number of people that have ever joined the membership,
right,
and go through the numbers and look at how long they've been part of it for, and then make an average of that to say, all right, we've got, let's say, 500 members. On average, they've been there for 4 months. And so then you can work out the lifetime value of that, because it'd be the 4 months times the 500 people times the value of each month's subscription. That'd be a similar thing.
It would be. The reason why we do 1 divided by the attrition rate is because if we're measuring the attrition rate monthly, it can change depending upon what activities we're doing to probably try and keep people, as well as we are actually get people, and so right, okay. And also as well, if your kind of monthly average customer value has changed as well, then you're likely to be dealing with things that are a little bit more current than you are where your business model was maybe previously. So it's trying to be as current as possible with the attrition rate and also the average monthly customer value, to really understand on a rolling basis where that client lifetime value is. And
that's fascinating. Because I suppose over time that rate will differ. And do you work out the attrition rate on each month if it's drip fed content? So say, for example, it's automated drip fed content. Would you say, like, right, in month 1, the attrition rate is very low. Month 2, it's gone up a little bit. Month 3, it's gone up a little bit. Month 4, it's shot up. Do you then be like, all right, we need to sort out something on month 3 to month 4?
Yeah, so when we're looking at attrition rate, we're looking at it as an overall metric, okay? So we're looking at, those clients that we had as our base at the beginning of the month, and how many then by the end of the month have we lost, right? Mm-hmm. Which clients that we've lost this month. So when we do that, really that's a company KPI, really. What you can, of course, measure.
Key performance indicator, by the way.
Yeah. What you can, of course, measure is knowing those that the attrition rate of those that go through a drip-fed program versus those that are on a everything's loaded into your membership area and you've got everything, that access to everything, and you can pit those against each other. And you can also look at, what's the client lifetime value of those that, the attrition rate, and work backwards from everybody that prepays for a year versus those that pay monthly. So, there's all sorts of things that you can play with. The key thing really in any of these businesses, and a great book and a great resource for anybody that wants to start considering this in a bit more detail, would be The Automatic Customer. Great book, and I'd highly endorse that to anybody looking at getting into this kind of business, really. But customer lifetime value is important, and the reason why that's important is because we know what we can spend to acquire. We know what a customer's worth to us, right? And we know what we can typically spend then to start acquiring customers. If that client lifetime value starts to change and go in the right direction as we start to reduce the churn rate, maybe we're putting in some additional steps to try and keep customers. Maybe they're going through like a 30 or 60 day wow kind of experience, onboarding experience as part of your program. Then you'll start to see, of course, when we're calculating it like this each month, we know if that's having an impact pretty much immediately. So
interesting. Okay. So in terms of this first point, then what we're looking to do is find out the lifetime customer value of a member. Knowing that number, you then know what money you've got to play with in order to get them to become a customer in the first place, on average.
Right. And
then obviously your job then to make profit of this membership is to get someone to come in for less than that price that they're actually worth.
Sure.
What is the implication of someone being a member, deciding to leave as a member?
Yeah.
And what impact does that have on the future of that customer with that business? Do you have any stats on that? Because one of the things I always think is say for example, your attrition rate is 4 months, 5 months, something around that area. And while you may have made a bit of profit from them in that kind of 4 or 5 month period, are they likely, because they've said no to you and they've stopped becoming a subscription, are they likely to then, because they've said no to you for whatever reason, they made a decision to say no, is that a big hindrance for them to ever become a different type of customer in that company again? Or is it the sort of thing, because earlier you talked about the fact that they want to belong and be part of this identity. By saying I'm out of that identity because I'm not going to pay for it any longer, does that change the psychology of that customer to that brand?
Well, it's very interesting because it's actually one of the profit activators. You're already ahead of the game. This is
so good at this, Ollie.
So good at this. It's so natural to you. Just like doing many things, We'll come to that because it's actually it's actually one of the most important things to know, and how to pivot your offerings in order to maximize client lifetime value, and how to understand the profiles of those customers to be able to engage with them more appropriately to what they actually need as well as what they want. So I'm going to come back to that because that is so pivotal to this.
Okay, cool. I like the way you've seeded that story there, and we're going to have to find out later.
It's an open loop.
It's an open loop.
You taught me this, so there you go.
Cool.
So,
all right. So should we move on to number 2?
Number 2 is installing tracking, and as any business grows, especially one that's based around recurring revenue, you need to have confidence in accurate reporting and accurate data. And it might seem pretty obvious, but you got to know where you're losing customers. You've got to know where they're dropping off and how it's affecting that attrition rate. So are they leaving in month 1? Are they leaving in month 4? Are they in month 6? Where are they leaving? And a good place to start is actually kind of just understanding the customer behavior before. What are the telltale signs before they cancel? Okay. Mm-hmm. So what this means is, in terms of tracking, is actually putting some indicators in place to know what are the things that might give us an indication that they're going to leave. So I'll get.
Cool. So let me hazard a guess. Is it something like an email open rate or a membership sign-in rate or that sort of stuff? Like exactly. If they're not using membership, if they're not opening their emails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So, like, are they not opening any emails? Have they not consumed the welcome video in the introductory series? I mean, if they sign up for a free trial or like a test drive of your membership or your subscription program, and they don't log into the membership site to watch the welcome video, then that's not a good sign, because they're not engaging with you. It's like the most basic thing ever, but they're not actually doing it. Or when was the last time they logged in? So more kind of a recency, kind of when was the last time they logged in to kind of consume content, so we can measure that. And the also as well, like if you're running a business that's like a coaching business where, you know, they've prepaid for coaching, or coaching in some description is part of what they're paying for, are they not turning up to the coaching calls? I mean, quite simple. Or have they replied to one of your automated newsletters and come back into your support system to complain about something and you don't know about it? I mean, that happens a lot. You know, you've got the customer, they're paying you, they reply to something and you don't handle it. The indicator that they sent something in as a support ticket, that gives us some idea of what kind of thing we need to kind of have in place or react to create contingencies to keep customer retention the way that we want it to. So really, when we call this kind of installing sensors in the business, which really just look out for all this kind of lack of engagement, and how you can kind of plug any kind of leaky holes really in the bucket. So
what sort of things do you do to plug those holes? So say, for example, someone's not logged in for more than 30 days. Let's say they haven't logged in for a month. What would you do at that stage? Is that sort of like you'd send an email, you'd send a video? What would you do?
It's really so the logical thing to do is reach out in a medium that can get to them quite quickly. So email works well, but we also know that not everybody's, you know, opening emails. And if they're not opening emails from you, there might be an underlying reason. It might be going into spam, you know, even though they're a member, that could be a problem. So, you know, you might want to mix up the media, send them an SMS, even just trigger an outbound call to try and reach out to them. Even a voice broadcast can reignite the relationship, even though it's pre-recorded. So really anything, I mean, even at its, you know, in our business, when we know that somebody's kind of built up their subscription for some time and haven't been using our service, we actually go to the extent of sending a direct mail piece out, because we know that they're kind of lost and we need to get them back. They may well be paying us, but it's still an indicator. So it's kind of important. And we've kind of got a list of kind of advanced sensors that we look for when we help people implement this, generally in our agency. So we look at things in terms of frequency. So things like, are they clicking? Are they opening? Have they logged in? Even page visits. So, you know, how many pages have they visited? How long have they been on the pages for? Are they filling out forms that we want them to? Maybe at the end of each video series or program, we're wanting them to fill in a survey about what they've done in order for them to progress to the next step. Are they doing that? Even down to, if like, we're looking at referral rate inside the membership. If somebody's not referring us, are we doing a good enough job? Is there a reason why they're not being very promotional about us to other people? Videos they've watched, or even consecutive actions they've taken. This goes a little bit, you know, goes a bit far, but like, we'll daisy chain a number of different actions that they must have taken in order for us to qualify them as still being quite active in consuming things. So we'll be like, did they log in? Did they watch the video to like 25%? Did they then take an action to go to another page? And all of that kind of gives us some kind of indication of how engaged that person is. But also at a higher level, it can be things like number of subscription cycles. So how many times have they been through our subscription? Obviously, the longer that they've been through it, the better for us. How many videos have they watched? How many inbound calls have they had? How many decline payments have they had? Because credit cards expire, you know, there can be problems with billing. And then,
so if you're tracking, let's say, for example, you don't have the tech, or you don't have the, well, you do have the ability to, but you're kind of like 80-20ing the situation, and you're saying, right, what one thing can I track to be like, all right, let's track that. If they fail to do this, here's what I'm going to do instead. What if there's one thing, if there's like a priority thing to focus on with the tracking, what would you track and what would you do?
Simply put, if it's a membership site, I would be, looking at number of logins in 30 days, because that's between subscription cycles. So,
the rule would be, if they haven't logged in for more than 30 days, send them an email, or what would you do?
Yeah, probably 28 days, because you want to get them before the next subscription goes out. To try and engage them. And then we have it on a counter, so it just resets itself once they've logged in. That's the best way to do it. But it could be, if we see in our business, we've got this funky kind of credit system. If they haven't consumed more than half of those credits in a month, we know that they're not actually using the service as well as they could be using it. And that obviously indicates lack of engagement, which you want to get beneath the surface of those reasons so that you can actually be proactive and reach out, and in some cases have something that's congruent to actually sell them into. So typically in our business, the biggest issue for them is getting customers. Well, guess what? We've got a training on an accelerator program on how to get more customers online. So that's a great thing to sell them into, but it doesn't really feel like selling because they've already got the problem anyway. They're already a customer, so it's an obvious cross-sell to get them into something that can add value.
Got it. Okay, cool. Alrighty.
All right.
So number one, looking at lifetime value, making sure you can get the customers in and working profitably for you.
Yeah.
And number two is going to be looking at tracking the right things and having contingency plans in place to be like, if they do this, like not log in for 30 days, here's what I'm going to do to resolve that situation, or 28 days prior to the sale going through. What would be what's number three?
Number three is actually looking at surveys, and a specific type of survey that we'll talk about called an NPS survey, which really looks at NPS, yes.
N for
November, P for Papa, S for Sierra.
Okay, you're doing it properly. Okay,
yeah, sure. So that stands for Net Promoter Scoring, and it's widely regarded to be the number one indicator of customer loyalty. So basically, the question that you're actually asking your customers is quite simple. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or colleague, really? And the wording can sometimes vary a little bit from that, but basically it gives you a very quick indication of somebody's satisfaction with your service, and it's literally the quickest and easiest way and the cheapest way of increasing customer retention and refunds, and to reduce refunds, because obviously you're going to be proactive in your approach to people that obviously score you at a very low level, to those that actually are saying, I'm loving this, it's fantastic. You're going to have a very different message. You're going to react to it very differently. And so we generally run these surveys immediately, or pretty much immediately after somebody's first purchased. And then we run it in 90 days and then another 180 days from the same purchase date. So what that allows us to do...
Every quarter you're going to go out with people,
to see if there's a sliding scale or change in that customer that, we need to be proactive really about taking care of. So the way that this works, and I actually wrote quite a long blog article because it's kind of like a cornerstone campaign that we often create for virtually every business, not even subscription businesses, for a new welcome campaign. An NPS score campaign is what we have in there. And so I'll just very, very high level just tell you, if they score between 0 to 6, okay, they're classified as a detractor. Okay, so typically we will proactively reach out to these people because they are not happy. Okay, we classify them as not happy. If they score 7 or 8, we classify them as being passive, meaning that, kind of we might have done an okay job. We'll maybe send them an email and say, oh, thanks for letting us know your opinion. We'd really like to know how we can improve our service. And then if they're a promoter, a 9 or a 10, these are the people that we really want to push for. Hey, great. So how can we really maximize, now that you love us, how can we maximize your experience with us? What are the things you're interested in? Or do you know somebody else might be interested in this? So really about segmenting those up and then proactively reaching out to them accordingly.
That's clever. I like that. Because I like the identifying the people that needs a bit of love and attention in order to make them feel good again. And also the people that are passive to get them more active. And I also love the fact that the people that are loving it are confirming that fact. And stating that fact to you so they know that you're listening. And it's like a public announcement, really, isn't it? Just to you and them, really, just to say, hey, I'm loving this. And the chances of retention increasing as a result of that and confirming to themselves, it's like, once you've said it, you tend to behave in a way that's congruent to that. And thus it's a positive cycle. So I like that idea. That's cool.
And it's dead easy if you're running a membership site. I mean, I was thinking about your business here. You do that after, the first time they log in, because they're going to have an experience, maybe after they've watched the welcome video, they're going to have an experience up until that point, because you pushed them through your sales process, or have you pulled them through your sales process, right? Because they're two completely different things. If you've pushed them and, you've been really hypey and everything else, which definitely wouldn't come from you, but does happen, your refunds, the cancellations are going to go up. They might not be happy upon joining, and maybe you haven't actually delivered much at that point. So you definitely, sometimes with online membership, you may want to stagger that first initial NPS, but whereas other businesses, if you fulfill the service, then you actually then want to follow up with them very quickly, in different kind of situation. But this leads us quite well into Profit Activator number 4, which is actually segmenting your customers and clients and actually knowing who is who, so that you can change and pivot the conversation based on them. So, if you've got different genders, different ages, or different business types and sizes, you need to be able to change the conversation so that depending upon where they are in the life cycle of their business, you're delivering the right value at the right time to them, so that it makes the most impact on their business. And without really segmenting clients and customers, you might just be sending them additional offers or additional things into the membership provision or deliverable that actually they don't need or want, and actually just makes it more confusing for them because they're just not at that stage. So it's really important that you quickly start to profile the people that are on your list, on your membership or your customer, your inner circle, whatever you may call it, to actually know then what you can begin to offer them. So not begin to offer them, but so what you're offering them is actually fulfilling their needs as things go.
Would you have a scenario whereby if you segmented them and realize there's two very different types of audience, or probably more than that, but like it's very different types of audience, some of which are looking for more help, let's say, and some of them just like, do you know what? I'm consuming the content, it's working well, but some of them are like, do you know what? I'm not really getting to the grips of this. I really want to do it, but I need some help. Right. If you were to do that, you could obviously upsell them to some sort of consultancy level if that was the case. But do you ever have a scenario where maybe like, let's say, for example, I'm selling YouTube advertising, like a training on that, and then a training on Facebook video advertising. And based on the fact that someone might say, do you know what, I'm loving the Facebook stuff. Would you have a contingency where you'd be like, right, month 5, which is all about Facebook, for example, would you bring that early, for example, to those people? Is that just getting a bit too complicated, or is that?
It can do. It definitely can do, but I think it's important to also get a general feeling for those people that are sticking around, who are your ideal client or prospect client customer for that subscription model, because there will be some common traits of their size, type, demographic, psychographic, that actually then shapes the sort of avatar for the people that then you actually ultimately want to get in through your lead generation. So actually, it actually does two things. So it does the part that, knowing where people are, what they look like, and what you can then do to get more of those people in. But then it can also then do we need to shape the program differently? Because we know that if they like this, then we can add more value by adding this. And if we add that, then it's going to increase the retention. So it can definitely do that for sure. Or you might realize that, the cheapest customers that you get in actually don't stay for very long. Their lifetime value isn't great, and that can skew the numbers. Whereas some of the more expensive customers actually stick for longer on initial acquisition. Cost of acquisition can actually be higher for some than others, but they stick for longer, and that can vary on lead source and everything else. So there's a whole load of things that you can really get into and play around with that gets very interesting. And this actually leads very neatly on and answers your earlier question, actually, which you were very perceptive of in terms of this topic, which is actually being able to evolve your product, your subscription, and your service offering. Because the truth is, if you've done a really good job, let's take your business where you've trained somebody very effectively online to start to create, then further scale YouTube, advertising, and maybe Facebook. They came to you at a certain level. They had a certain level of an appreciation for what it was about. Ultimately, they probably came to you to get more leads and more customers, but maybe they now are getting more customers and more leads. So what they came to you for, it's important to distinguish it. Customers don't buy features, they buy value, and they buy the solutions to the problems, and they buy the path to how they're actually going to achieve their goals as a business. So what they originally came to you for changes. So in the advance,
right, yeah. So hopefully, like if I'm selling, here's how to get more leads from YouTube ads, for example, they go and do that, they start getting leads. And then natural next question is like, well, how do I get more of it? How do I start scaling up this bad boy and seeing what else I can do?
Yeah, so, in 6 months' time, or even 3 months' time, those kind of priorities have changed for them, because now they've actually got leads. Now they've got a problem with conversion. Yeah. So now it's about, well, how do I maximize those leads, and they've grown, evolved as a business to a different level. And so they've got a different need. And so if you haven't done a good job, you're going to start losing people, because now you're not delivering the right value for them at this very time.
Yep.
Because you've fulfilled what they wanted. Now they're on to the next marketer. They're on to the next thing to try and get what they need, when actually you've already got a relationship with them. If you understand that phase of business that they're in, you can pivot and change to be able to accommodate them and ultimately retain them.
And also, I know that something that will probably be very evident for me is that I'm not a general marketer. I'm like an advertiser that's really good at a couple of things in terms of how to advertise a business. When it comes to someone saying, well, I really want to run a webinar really effectively, I'll be then in a position to be like, okay, we're going to do a JV with this particular customer, or become an affiliate of someone's program, to be like, I really trust in this person's stuff. Go and buy that as a natural kind of like on-sell for that customer. So that could be a really nice way of building that out as well. So
the sixth and final profit activator.
So the fifth was understanding the fourth was segmentation, right? And the fifth was evolving. Right?
Evolving, yeah, for sure.
Cool. Okay, cool, perfect.
And the sixth and final, and just like everything that's just, I've self-anointed this kind of, there are only 6 properties.
Yeah, oh, there's never a 7.
Just like there's never a 7th, but if I decide to release a book later down the line, I might release the 7th element. I noticed this, like Cialdini did.
It's pivotal. You couldn't survive without that 7th one, right?
Yeah, sure. There are only so many principles of influence, but in a few years' time, I might wait one more up. We need to sell some more books
and sell another book.
Yeah, so it's a good job this content's for free. So but this time next year, you never know. So
different year. It's a completely different world.
It's just so but it's important that although we joke, these things are like the cornerstones of there's only one cornerstone, so there can't be cornerstones.
It's like when someone says I've got 6 priorities. It's word priority means there's one.
Right, exactly, yeah. So, for me, all of these things are super relevant, super important in terms of starting, growing and sustaining a profitable subscription type business and recurring revenue business. And a lot of these things, businesses like SaaS businesses, are the things that they really dial into to make sure that they're growing as they need to be. But
and just for the listeners, SaaS is software as a service.
Yeah, it's good. I like the way that you can kind of just jargon free it. Do you know what I mean?
Just trying to make it easy to listen to, and whenever I listen to anything and someone says something, if I don't understand what that is, my mind then goes to that place and spends an hour on that thing.
Or they just switch off. I mean, we might have
switch off. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
So SaaS, SaaS, is software as a service. We're building up number 6, Ollie.
The 6 isn't moving yet. So the key here in number 6 is assigning some form of accountability for retention, because we know that retention's so important, and if retention's so important, then and that it's actually more important than growth rate in a lot of ways. So what you need to do to keep on scaling is to have some sort of ownership over that retention. And so having somebody on your team, having somebody that is responsible for it, that's actually not, and in terms of responsibility, in terms of reporting on it, they're able to report on it weekly. They're consistently on the ball, so that they're fully on top of the cycles of that we go through as a subscription type business, the key thing that always comes up is retention. So why not assign that that level of responsibility to somebody to make it that's their thing? And so you can then have them look at, okay, great, so we know now that we're having some problems in month 2. Why are we having some problems in month 2? What are we sending? Maybe we should send 2 bits of direct mail in the post. Ooh, what that look like? Or let's think about those contingencies. Okay, so they haven't logged in. What do we do? Well, we'll assign, a customer care call to go out to them. Great idea. What happens if they don't consume the welcome video? Let's be proactive in seeking out those indicators and sensors that tell us that we're potentially losing somebody. And so you need to have somebody on that. You need to have it. And in some cases, as businesses grow, you will have teams of people doing this. It will go from 1 to 2 to 3 people. And so they become, if you want, like kind of account managers, but they are being held accountable for the retention of those customers, because in a lot of subscription businesses, the money is in the tail, meaning in the back end. In some cases, we can actually go, the cost of acquisition is higher than the money that we're getting in. So it can be that we can go negative on the front end, and actually all of our revenues in the back. But that's because we know our numbers. We know our retention. We know our retention rate, and so we know our lifetime value. So we're happy to do that. And so it's super important to be able to make sure that we have somebody that's held accountable for it.
Would you normally employ someone as that? Or is that be like their one job, or would you say they'll be working the business as well as having that as another aspect of their role.
Well, to be frank, I really like to have everybody in our business has metrics. So they have 3 individual metrics that they look after. And unfortunately, the retention rate, attrition rate, number of clients won, that's somebody's metrics, right? You can't just say, what's our retention rate? Because it only tells you part of the story. And so, for me, I think when you get to a certain level, even if that's like a part-time PA, VA, whatever it may be to begin with, that if you set your systems up right, and this is the problem of, just going back to what you said before, it's like, people want to get involved with a membership business, and they maybe want to do an online membership site, and they just don't work, and they don't have the right systems set up in order to make sure that is going to be sustainable, and they will lose, and they'll lose hard. And generally they're the people that spent loads of time actually creating the product, probably not enough time marketing it, or not enough finding out what people actually want. That's another mistake people make. But supposing that, the product's great and that's what people want, then they haven't, and the next step is, they actually haven't got the right systems and tracking and measurement in place to pull this all together effectively.
Yep. Got it. Okay. So let's quickly ask you, if you were in my situation, knowing that I've got the products, they're already there, all the payment processing is all set up, I can drip feed stuff, I can set up as a monthly membership, I can do a one-time fee, I can do a part payment, I can do bundles and all that sort of stuff, knowing that I've got courses on YouTube advertising, Facebook advertising, remarketing, video creation, a bit of software in there as well. I know that you haven't seen the business, kind of that side of things completely. What would you, as a gut call, knowing that the agency is my main focus and I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on it, I can put someone full time on that measurement of that. But it's, for me in the agency, we don't have something that's low cost right now. We just don't have that. But that's where a membership might come in, not low cost, but lower than the kind of like high end client, so to speak. What would you say? Would you say, first of all, membership, yes or no? And if you said no, why? And if you said yes, how would you structure it? How would you recommend that?
There's probably a bigger question that's more underlying, which is really about what's the overall priorities of the business as a whole. Because I know how successful you are with the agency, and I know that's such a big focus for you. So sometimes it's a case of, is that revenue and is that time and is that effort worthwhile to create that lower end membership, which, for you've already got such a wildly successful business. It's sometimes always the case, that people don't have that yet. You're actually looking at it the other way. But the thing is that I think you're coming from a place of, how much value that you can add to people, and what a difference that can really make by them just consuming some of those resources is that you should certainly have them, that their premium content. It's good stuff. I'd probably survey your database first, and I'd find out what are they most interested in, what are their biggest challenges, what are the biggest problems that they're facing right now, what are they most interested in. And it might just be that it's maybe one microcosm of what you actually got there. It might be just remarketing. I just want to know how to remarket on YouTube, or I just want to know the basics of Facebook advertising, or have you got, I just want to watch some videos of you on stage, whatever it may be. And I think from there you can then shape that to think, oh, that's interesting. Okay. So what I could probably do here is make maybe part of the course available to give them a bit of a taster. And maybe, actually proactively give them a few modules to get them started. And then from there they can get access to the full course. So that's a typical model where it's like a freemium or a low barrier to entry. They can consume part of it and then they can get access to the full course, because everything else is locked unless they pay for the premium content. Generally though, I think, most people in some of the things that we're you've got especially, they just give me just give me it all. And it might be a case through surveying it, people maybe don't want it all. So it goes back to what I just said before. Well, it might be, I want it all. That's perfect. I just want to know how to do this, and I want all of it. Great. Well, really, I think then it's a case of thinking about a funnel, how much time that's going to take you, and then if you feel that none of these things could be sold. They could be sold very intentionally through different funnels, or it could just be very much like a downsell. So actually, a lot of people, we hadn't really talked about this, was that actually some people will come to you, they're not a good fit for you. We both have that a lot with the agency. They're just not a good fit for us. But actually, you just don't want to you don't want to continue the relationship, but just not it's not profitable for you to do it, and it's not feasible for them to do it over here. Well, let's give them that opportunity. So actually, let's bring all of those people that did come to us into a hey, look, I've got a lower end. I usually charge, for us, we charge £5,000 to £12,000 a month for what we do. And it can go higher. But actually, I've got something at £300 a month that gives you everything, all of our courses, or we give you one course every month or something like that, that they can step into. So it's still high value membership. And they might then, that phase of business might mean that then, they actually implement, they actually do something, and then they come back to you and say, actually, you know what? This has been working pretty well. You can definitely amplify it in the agency. What do you think? I mean, I just took your advice and we've done it and it's working. Is that something you can help us with now? And we've definitely seen that be the case with us. It's a nice thing to offer, for speaking, and generally just downselling people from your other programs that are not a good fit as well.
It's interesting. Really interesting. I think I definitely take on board the survey idea. I think a lot of people in my industry who are at that level kind of feel like, another membership. Do you know what I mean? They're already a membership of 5 different things already. And so and part of me feels like I don't have a huge driver to build a huge community or anything like that. But I do know that the content I've got is very, very high quality and it will really help people. And so I feel like there's part of me that's feeling like people can go and do it and get amazing results. But how we structure the financials behind that and what sort of support they would expect off the back of that is a big question mark for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, just thinking about it, and I mean, I know we have a lot of chats like this when we're not in, doing an episode or doing podcasts, but for me, there's something to be said, and it's a scary thing because, we all got to, you've got to value that information and the top work that went into it. But I would say the other option is to be very intentional about giving that away, giving it away to really capture a big audience of people towards that content, but then know what their pain point is after they will have gone through that content. So definitely don't give it all to them immediately. That's like the worst thing ever. You want them, if you did the whole free thing, then you could just give them some and then slowly drip feed that out over 6 months, 12 months, whatever it may be, so that it's digestible. But then lead them
to still be free, but just drip fed over that period. Okay.
And then what you could do is say, well, okay, I know what their problem is once they've had, they've been through the YouTube course. I know what it is. Their problem is that they actually then want somebody to look over their shoulder to make sure it's set up properly. well, that's interesting, because I've got somebody on my team that, you know, for an hour for £250, they could jump on, or for 45 minutes or half an hour, they could jump on and they could book that call and pay for that call. Well, that's revenue then. Or maybe we could invite them to like an intensive workshop, like one day, where then, you know, you've got these people that are really engaged with your content anyway. They just want more help with actually implementing it and more help with that offers, or like, you know, you crafting their moments for them. So the moment workshop is what you could take them to, because you already know you've given your best stuff away anyway. So all of that content creation that people do so well, like digital marketer, is splintered content from other things that they do, you know. So, you know, it could be a great way to transcribe some of that stuff, really pump out lots of content, and be a content machine, be such an authority. And then with the intent of taking people not to the agency, but to actually a middle ground where you can help them further implement things. And
what I love about that is, like, say for example, we did a 30-day challenge, for example, where it's like each day is just 5 minutes worth of implementation. So it's like, here we're going to do 5 minutes today, then we're going to do 5 minutes tomorrow. So a 5-minute video with 5 minutes work. So it's 10 minutes in a day. Anyone can put that aside to do it. And it wouldn't be huge amounts of exercise. It would just be like, right, write this down. What are you going to say? And then do 5 minutes for 30 days. So it gives you that regular kind of like exposure to it. And at the end of that 30 days, you should be in a place where you've got everything set up. You're ready to go. And then it's just a case of like, right, what strategies do we have? And then they can either upsell those strategies or have consultancy calls off the back of it. But the conversations we'll be having would be people that know how to speak the lingo, know they're at a certain stage already, and also are kind of like ready to start promoting as well. So that could be a really, really interesting way of bringing it all about. Like a 30-day challenge off the back of that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great way to, you know, to get people to consume things and to bring people. Our business is all about relationships, and it's the relationship that we got with the people that we don't know. You know, we're in a one-to-many situation in terms of our list. Great way to bring people towards us, not necessarily just to monetize people, but to genuinely create connections, generally create relationships, and generally help people to create a better business for themselves, you know, get more leads, get more customers, make more profit, whatever it is that means something to them. Can often, you know, those people may know that they're not your ideal customer. You know, they may be aspirational to be in terms of an agency client, perhaps. Maybe that's just not the right fit for everybody as well. So, you know, there definitely are things that we can all do. And it's really just about really understanding our markets and really knowing how we can help people and how we can solve their problems. Mate,
I think I might have cracked it. Oh, I say me. I think you might have cracked it for me, which is nice.
I like this. It's good.
Yeah. Good. Well, hopefully it's been useful for people on the call as well. I mean, this is one of those episodes where we do things slightly differently. So we just have a general chat about each one of our businesses as well. So anyone that's listening to this or watching the videos right now, what I'd love you to do, and this is the kind of get out of the woodwork, kind of get the kind of conversation going a little bit. Ping us an email or put us a message on Facebook and tag us in it or anything like that. Say, hey, look, listen to this episode with the six cornerstones or whatever we're going to call them.
Profit activators. Yeah,
profit activators for any recurring revenue stream. And let us know what you think. Let us know if you've got any questions. Because I'd love to. This is a conversation that I'm going through in my own head right now, and it's a really interesting topic, I think, and it's nice to read it back into our own businesses as well. So this might be a time to kind of like do a bit of a kind of like a connection on Facebook. Let us know about it, and let us know feedback on other episodes as well. It'd be good to get your feedback and hear what you're thinking and see if there's any other topics you'd like us to talk about as well. So if you are listening, give us that feedback, tag us in on Facebook, and obviously that's Ollie Bilson and Tom Breeze. And we'll see you in in an episode very soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom.